Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back for a third time to the ESL UK Premiership Week 6. I am Munchables, this is exCL, and we actually have some League of Legends coming up for you. Which game have we got coming up?
Well, if you hadn't heard already, we've got Exertusvs versus exceL Esports, and it's going to be a wild, wild best of three. These guys can definitely take it all the way. Me and you have been casting for 2 weeks now, and we haven't yet seen a series go all the way to 3 games. So this could be the first series that we've seen casting as a duo go all the way to 3 games. Definitely has the potential out of the ones that we've cast so far to do so.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a nail-biter.
It certainly is.
I think there's a couple of things that are going to throw some weight into this series. There's been 2 subs coming in, some 2 roster swaps. Flaxish, a very talented player, challenger scene. He's 500 LP in challenger right now. He's playing for Exertusvs Esports, and then Trash Club Billy coming through from the Null onto the exceL lineup. He is currently Diamond 3 in solo queue, but he is a fantastic player, and I think will definitely be able to hold his own in that top lane. I imagine, knowing the champions that Billy likes to play, he won't be taking too many risks.
No, typically, I mean, recently we've seen him on Malphite, we've seen him on Shen, we've just seen him play these more defensive champions where you can just sort of cruise through the lane. He just loves AP tops. From
he plays a lot of Rumble, a lot of Maokai, a lot of Malphite, a lot of Shen. And actually, Billy's Malphite is incredibly impressive. He always has game-changing ultimates. He never whiffs those unstoppable forces. So really looking forward to this series in general. Exertusvs, they've got Subtomic, brilliant young AD carry player, extremely talented, is only going to get better. And we've talked about Wizzy U, the thought tank, the driving force behind the Exertusvs lineup. And Brixton coming through in the mid lane for, who's he coming for?
Exertusvs.
Yeah, he came in for replacing someone, I think, in the mid lane. I can't remember. Chriso?
Oh, yeah. Imberlite.
Imberlite, yes, he replacing
Chriso was in the top lane.
Chriso was in the top lane. See,
I thought you meant which team.
No. Chriso used to be a mid laner, actually, solely mid laner.
Yeah, he did,
and then he moved to top. He moved to top for Exertusvs, and Imberlite obviously was X-infused as well. In fact, actually, most of Exertusvs' lineup has at some point been on infused. Yeah, but. Flaxish and Brixton, 2 brilliant players coming in for the solo lanes, and I think Brixton and Ped matchup's going to be really close. I think that's going to be a fantastic thing to watch and keep an eye on. There could be solo kills all round. I
think as well it's going to be volatile, especially if we see Ped pick Ahri. That seems to be his champion that he does go aggressive on. Most of his champion pool tends to be those defensive mid laners, but I've seen him on Ahri, and he does love to go aggressive. If he can land those charms, if he can get those skill shots through, he will go for the kill. And
remnant of Vedius, the old, in fact, the guy that he's casting now, the old exceL mid laner, his Ahri was something that got usually banned against him because he's just such a ridiculously good Ahri player. But Ped has got a huge champion pool. Vedius was used to be known for playing those interesting things like Nocturne mid and all these sort of interesting mid lane picks.
A little bit cheesier picks.
The cheesier picks, but they sometimes worked out. I know that I think I know the game that I cast originally of him when he used to playing for exceL, played Talon mid, and he got absolutely stomped.
Hey man, I love a bit of Stilton, but we are onto the, I was going to say onto the Rift, we're not onto the Rift, we're into the Champion Select though. We already have our first 4 bans coming through: Shen, Irelia, Tristana, and Rek'Sai. So I said Rek'Sai really weird there, but
you did. You just pronounced
Rek'Sai.
Enunciate all the vowels.
The last ban is going to be Malphite, so Billy going to be being banned out a little bit here. We already talked about Shen and Malphite, and he loves Irelia as well.
Yeah, so that's 3 champions from Billy gone now. Flaxus may be looking to flex his muscles, take Billy off the things that could be safe, and then look to exert pressure in that top lane. He's probably looking to I guess, dominate the lane, being arguably the strongest solo player on the Exertusvs lineup right now. So.
Yeah, quite possible. I mean, it's pretty hard to argue against that at this moment. He is an incredibly strong player, but we are going to see the Lulu banned out as well. Interestingly, by exceL. So they don't want to be going up against that. Don't want to see Brixton playing that one in the mid lane either. And I mean, typically we've seen Lulu in the mid lane. Do you think that could have been anywhere else?
Lulu can go top for certain, but more recently in these current times, the current metas, Lulu's been making her way to the mid lane just because there are champions that you would prefer to have in that top lane. You know, things like the Maokai, things like Rumble, all these different champions, and it's going to be, I think there's going to be at least jungle being locked in for Dan here.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty typical first pick at the moment. Going to see that at least very strong jungler to be locked in. Talk to me about what do you think the rest of this Exertus lineup could go with this Elise? Is it?
Well, Elise is really strong at putting down early pressure. She's incredibly strong early ganker. They've obviously changed her cocoon fairly recently so that it's a little bit more impactful, stuns for a little bit longer in the early game. And Elise works really well with any type of pick composition, any type of composition that will look to isolate someone, abuse mistakes, take control of vision, and then roll on from those mistakes into either fast tower pushing or taking objectives. So got the Elise already there, will combo incredibly well with anything like an Alistair, like a Thresh.
We already spoke about the Ahri as well.
Yeah, the Ahri could come through for Brixton. So lots and lots of champions that work well with this. And there you go, the Thresh coming through potentially. Like I said, very strong pick composition coming through. And it's going to be Subtomic on one of his best champions, Lucian. And it is going to be Wiz taking that Thresh, like I said before. So like Elise and Thresh hints towards this very big isolate pick composition. Either make a pick at the start of a team fight and then burst them, or make a pick using vision control and then force either a 4v5 or just take an objective while you have that advantage. So looks like that's where the Exertus lineup is going.
Yeah, it certainly looks to be in that direction. We'll see if that's something that they're going to be able to get going for themselves. If we take a look across the other side, we do see the Sivir and the Braum locked in so far for exceL. Now, where do you think they're going to go with the rest of this draft?
Well, when you run a Sivir, you run a very specific type of composition. It works in a similar way to a pick composition in that you like to catch someone off guard, not necessarily out of position, because Sivir exploits the tiniest of mispositions.
Yeah.
You just look to engage onto someone before they can react, and then you snowball that into a larger team fight in which you already have the advantage. And they are running, wow, this is a cut and dry composition back here.
combo.
This is the Jarvan with the Orianna ball, the best ball delivery system arguably in the game, into a Sivir ult, basically chase anything down that you can. So this is an incredibly strong composition. They've got lots of isolation and lots of wombo combo. And I talked about Ped playing things like the Orianna before the game. I wouldn't be surprised to see Billy maybe run with a Rumble here, but against a Fiora it might be difficult because she is just so strong, especially with the new lunge that will allow her to quite easily jump on top of him. And he's got that Darius left open.
This will be a matchup if we do see that locked in. I'm surprised we saw that Fiora sort of sneak through champion. So like, I mean, we talked about this last weekend as well. Just going through all of the top laners at the moment. It's actually going to be an Olaf locked in. Is this, it could be Olaf, it could be Jarvan top. No, it is going to be the Olaf. So Olaf versus Fiora. Talk to me about this matchup. This is going to be volatile.
So Fiora is probably one of arguably the strongest top laners should she get through laning phase. Fiora has to make it through laning phase to be viable because she can get easily shut down in lane. She's got one small dash that will allow her, it's basically the range of about 3 Teemos, if that. That's the one small dash that she has to avoid the EQ combo or the axes coming out from Billy. So there is the potential to shut her down in lane. And if Flaxis does run with the summoner spells that he has right now, he will be targetable in lane. But Fiora can practically beat anybody in lane if played correctly. There are a few champion matchups that just anybody can't win, but Fiora can beat most people in lane if played correctly and played safely, because once you exploit those vitals, they do true damage and you get a bit of health back as well. And once you get your ultimate, you can almost do 66% of someone's health in true damage. So no matter how tanky you are, no matter how much health you've got, that true damage will roll through. So Billy still has to be wary of this Fiora in the top lane, not let her snowball. And I think Nesquik may be looking to put pressure down there, but Dan on that at least will also be able to counter that pressure. Now, if you're looking at a 2v2 in top lane here, I would actually give it over to Billy and Jarvan in the early portions of the game. If Jarvan can land the EQ combo, then he actually is one of the best counter gankers in the game. And should he get there and manage to counter-gank a Fiora and an Elise, who in the early portions of the game are quite squishy champions, I think Billy and Nesquik have the ability to take this one in a 2v2. So that depends on the jungle pass, and we'll see how it goes. But let's look at the overall compositions. Exertus, pick composition. It's through and through a pick composition. You've got
pretty much a textbook version of it.
We talked about it even when the Elise came out. The Thresh is in for Wiz, the Ahri in for Brixton, and then Fiora as well. So what you've got here is Elise and so Dan, Brixton, and Wiz all have an ability to isolate a singular person.
Yeah.
You've got the Cocoon, you've got the Hook, you've got the Charm. All of those will isolate one person. Then you've got the huge burst coming through from Fiora and Brixton. So Flaxus and Brixton will be able to throw a huge burst onto a target they isolate. And then they just try to snowball from there. If Brixton times his cooldowns well or doesn't use his charm, if they get one, he can use Spirit Rush and try and charm another. And then you can see how this kind of rolling pick competition will work. But really, they are going to rely solely on vision control and trying to exploit and pick people off making mistakes who, for instance, running through their own jungle, don't have it warded up, and they'll try and exploit any vision control they have there. And then they'll try and take turrets, they'll try and take objectives. Very classic way you play a pick composition. Looking over at exceL, this is almost a counter in a way to a pick composition as long as everyone keeps safe, because if you're grouped up, and this is what exceL want to do, they want to group up. If you're grouped up, you're making it less likely that you're going to get picked off, so that before the pick can happen, exceL are just going to be looking for that all-out Sivir engage. You pick someone off straight away just through sheer speed, and then you have the burst with Orianna, and you've got a little bit of burst coming through from Jarvan, and Sivir can always do that backline damage. You're really going to be relying on Ped and Billy here, I think, to take out that first target, and then you're going to roll it on, using that Sivir ultimate, keep going through and through. Save the Jarvan ultimate if you have to, run through. It's just a Sivir comp. You just group and win, boys. You just group and win.
So one thing I want to talk about before we head onto the map is this bottom lane. So we've got Lucian versus Sivir. Now, both of those champions are kind of renowned for being obnoxious to deal with in lane, to say the least. With a Thresh and a Braum, do you think this might be the kind of lane where we maybe see some 2v2s?
Potentially. Now, Braum, Sivir will stay safe, I think, fairly safe against this Thresh and Lucian lane. Sivir does have that spell shield, so she should be able to isolate any hooks or sort of stop any hooks that would come onto her. Wizzy will look to be smart. He'll either look to proc the spell shield with a flay, or he'll use positioning and character direction to try and duke out the hook on either. So he'll be maybe looking like he's aiming for Braum, but he'll go for the Sivir instead. So exabyte and Jokerism will have to be on their toes. But in all intents and purposes, it is a pretty even lane. Sivir is never good in trades. Sivir is just not a trading champion. She can poke quite well with Boomerang Blade, but if you get into an all-out trade with Lucian, you're just going to lose, because you just don't have any part of your kit that is particularly useful in small skirmishes. Once that Boomerang Blade's down, unless you get 2 hits and you're the first and only target being hit, it's pretty poor in terms of damage output in a small skirmish. Lucian has way more in his kit that allow him to prepare for a skirmish. Piercing Light and Light Slinger. Then the rest of his kit, the
basically everything.
Relentless Pursuit Light Slinger. He can dodge the Braum Winter's Bite. He can dodge the Sivir Boomerang Blade. He just trades better than Sivir. And most people that play Sivir will tell you that you don't look for trades. With Braum, yes, if they manage to land a Winter's Bite, they're looking to get a stun down. I imagine that they could potentially take a trade just through trying to proc that stun and then backing out. But if you're looking for a 2v2, you're probably not going to want to find that as the exceL lineup, because Sivir, good at pushing waves, poor at trading.
Certainly are, and now we are on to the Rift for our very first game of the day. Unfortunately, it is going to be Exertus Esports up against Team exceL. Now, this should be an explosive matchup, and across the board, we have some volatile lanes to watch out for. We've been talking about this matchup basically all day, saying who we think are going to be able to take it. If you want to throw your vote down on who will take it, you can head over to the website and put down your vote. We'll be able to bring up a community vote for this one later on in the day. But we see exceL going for an invade here.
I think they may be looking to just get some wards down. They're going to get spotted out by that volatile spiderling there. I imagine they are just looking for the wards. Exabyte is up on this side of the map. They're going to get one tiny deep ward there, not going to give them too much information, and they are going to back off.
Again, sandwich though, this could be a bit of trouble as exceL. Egg is already going on, but Exabyte is grouped into them. Has to flash away. The Ignite is ticking though. The Splash just jumps forward, trying to get further on into this one. But they have to back away. In the end, they can't commit to that.
Yeah, they only burn the flash on Exabyte, which isn't too bad, considering that I think a lot of pressure is going to be put down in the top lane by both Dan and Nesquik. I imagine exabyte will get away with that, but it's not the start that exceL would have wanted. They are looking like it's going to be a lane swap coming out, though, because Jokerism and exabyte are making their way to the top lane, and this is very sensible versus a Fiora, and I don't think Exertus have any idea that this is happening. Billy's just going to do the duo jungle with Nesquik, going to give Nesquik a bit of a quicker time through the jungle, keep him healthy so he can get some pressure down, and also give Billy a small advantage. But now they know that the lane swap has happened and the double jungle is going to take place for Flaxish and Dan also.
Look how aggressive Brixton is being already, shoving the entire wave underneath the tower. And it's actually going to be an ever so slight CS lead of 1, but both of them managing to miss 3 on that first wave. Not exactly exceptional.
Yeah, sometimes when you're pushing waves, you do miss CS a little bit, but Ped struggling under tower there, just maybe some nerves or cold fingers coming through, not able to pick up some CS under tower. He did have the rhythm right, but just didn't quite have the technique. It looks like Nesquik and Billy are going to go deep into this side of the jungle. They're going to go for the early 4-man tower push. So this is trying to put pressure on Flaxish here, and they're already turning up to this top lane tower. They have 2 waves worth of casting in these 2, so they're going to look to try and take this straight away, and then maybe attempt to reset the wave.
Well, it looks like they're going to be able to get away with it. Not too many minions remaining, though. They need to get this one down quickly. They are going to have to back away. So on the next wave, they should be able to get this one. In the meantime, though, the blue buff is going to be hotly contested here by the Exertus lineup. And so far, if you take a look at the community vote, 71% of people are going in favor of exceL.
Yeah, but Exertus already making a smart decision here. They're going to take away the blue side jungle of exceL, so that means Nesquik's not going to have his blue buff, and it means they'll also get a 4-man tower push here on this bot lane tower. I don't think exceL are going to be able to react in time, so this should be a bot lane tower going down as well for Exertus, and a small advantage in the jungle going over, because there is a very little chance that exceL are going to be able to move into the red side jungle of Exertus and take away that red buff. So it is already a small advantage coming through for the Exertus lineup. Looks like a second-tier turret push coming out here.
You say there's an advantage going over to Exertus, but exceL are looking to try and grab themselves a tier 2 incredibly early on. We do see, though, Exertus are looking to try and react to this one. Wiz is on his way to the tower. They're running out of minions, though. Tower's still on half HP. exceL have to back away.
Yeah, there was no way they were going to get that. As soon as Exertus reacted, it was going to be very difficult for exceL to push that second-tier turret down. It has that shield that builds up as well, and it's a little bit harder to take than that the outer turrets. They haven't yet got that outer turret from the side of exceL, and the lane swap's going to come through, but XP advantage is already starting to open up here for Exertus, so probably not going quite to plan. They saw the 4-man push in the bot lane side for Exertus, and they thought, let's go for the second turret. They're not going to react, but as soon as they started pushing the wave, Exertus knew exactly how to react. And now, going to be facing a small XP disadvantage, and they lose the tower in the bot lane too.
Yeah, so well played by Exertus to read that play and answer accordingly. And now, that is going to give them an ever so slight XP advantage, ever so slight gold advantage as well. They are going to be 700 gold ahead of their opponents at this early stage of the game. But nothing too crazy. I feel at this point, it's going to be a lot down to Exertus on how well they can continue to snowball this momentum.
So now I think what's going to happen here for exceL is Jokerism is going to look to try and freeze the wave, try and starve a little bit of farm away from Subatomic, who is moving back towards that bot lane. The real win here for Exertus is they've managed to get Flaxish into a 1v1 scenario with Billy, and it does look like Dan is making his way to the top lane. They may even go for a dive here. Billy is level 2. If they can make this happen before Billy can get some XP under his belt, he will be in a really tough situation. Having no flash is going to be a little bit more difficult to dodge the cocoon. Looks like exabyte is making his way up, though. I think they know something fishy's going on here.
Yeah, Billy is in all kinds of trouble. Look how many minions there are. He is going to be stunned up by the cocoon as Dan comes in. He's going to be going down. No, the repel comes out the last second, and it's the first blood over to Flaxish. Dan is going to walk away on 120 HP. And exabyte, there's not a lot he can do about this one. Or is there? As Nesquik comes in, the Winter's Bite is going to land onto Flaxish, but a nice cocoon comes out from Dan. And they're going to be able to walk away with the first blood. Yeah,
this is exactly what Flaxish wanted in this top lane. A 1 versus 1. Not even the roam from exabyte could help out. And now exceL are incredibly behind. exabyte level 2 He has not got the experience he needs. And look at the push coming here. Nothing that Jokerism can do by himself to stop the push onto this inner turret here for Exertus. And already a small advantage going to the Fiora. She picks up that first blood. Brilliant repel by Dan in that top lane, by the way, to keep himself alive. And yeah, this is just very difficult times now. Billy actually having to head down to this bot lane to make something happen, which I just don't think is going to happen.
Well, we'll have to see. They're going to be looking. The Winter's Bite slow does go down. Atomic may be in trouble, but a nice Dark Passage is going to come through. And that's going to pull that AD carry to safety. So Exertus doing an incredibly good job in this early game to be able to take the lead here.
Yeah, they're just getting outplayed at the moment, and Billy does need to go and get some experience behind him because he's going to be level 3 to Flaxus's level 6, and Flaxus is doing exactly what he needs to in that top lane. He is freezing and letting the wave push towards him, starving Billy further of experience. Billy having to make his way to the bot lane and try and push this bot lane tower in order to get that much needed experience behind him. And Flaxus will be happy with this all day. He'll just start really a farm and become that monster of a Fiora that you need to be. And already this early game is going well in favour of Exertus.
Yeah, it looks like there might be a fight kicking off in this bottom lane as Nesquik is stunned up. The teleport is going to be coming through from the Fiora as well. Dan trying his best to get onto anyone as Billy is going to be aggressed upon. Fiora is underneath the tower though. Flaxus is going for the kill onto Nesquik. One more hit will finish him. It's the Spirit Rush for Brixton that does it. And now he's going on to Jokerism, who's in all kinds of trouble. CC from every direction as the double kill comes through for Brixton. And now a three-man shockwave comes through onto them. Exabite is going to be the next one to go down as he's ignited and smoked down by Fiora there. Flaxish taking that one, and the dragon is opened wide for Exertus.
This has just been a complete outplay in the early stages of this game from Exertus. The lane swap instigated by exceL, they had a good idea. They went for that early tower push, but they reacted badly when they saw the 4-man tower push and their two-side jungle cleared from Exertus. When Exertus showed in that bot lane, they thought they could go for that inner turret, and that's where it really started to go wrong. That's where the XP advantage is starting to break out. And to be honest, Flaxus pushing so hard onto turret for Billy should have spelt warning signs for exceL in that top lane. They should have expected a very early gank coming down from Dan, and Nesquik just wasn't in position. Exabite was making his way up, but it was too little too late, and it's all started going wrong from here. It's going to be very difficult for exceL to make their way back into this game. They've already lost so much.
They really have, but certainly not all is lost just yet. 3,000 gold lead in favour of exceL. Definitely something they're going to be, I'd say in favour of exceL, it's in favour of Exertus. Definitely something they're going to be happy with. But we've seen players come back from much worse deficits than this in the past. We'll see if exceL are going to be able to do it with this new lineup. Maybe they've just not meshed well enough at this early stage for this team. Yeah,
it looks like a hard push coming down into this bot lane. Flaxus is going to rotate down to go into a 2v1 scenario against Jokerism and Exabite. Exabite...
Oh, Billy.
Yeah, Billy needs to be incredibly careful. Again, he knows something's going wrong. He's going to throw that ward down, but it may be too little too late. And Brixton comes through.
Yeah, it might just be that as the charm lands. Billy's still only level 5 and he's going to be falling. Subtomic takes that one out on that Project Lucian. And now the top tower is going to be going down in the meantime. Ped just trying to pressure on to this mid lane tower. exceL, they're looking to try and trade this bottom lane tier 1 tower. Flaxish is here. I don't think, even if you're Flaxish, I don't think this is a wise 1v3.
Yeah, Flaxish isn't going to fall for the same thing that Billy just fell for. He knew that there's probably going to be a counterpart gank coming out from Nesquik in that bot lane. So it will be tower for tower, but another kill going over to Exertus. Ped tried to push into that mid lane. He didn't follow the roam from Brixton, but Dan just doing exactly what he needed to do, clearing waves as best he could and stop any hard push coming down onto this mid lane turret.
Yeah, absolutely. And now, let's see, so trying to posture around Dragon, trying to maybe get a little bit of vision control, but Dragon not going to be spawning anytime soon, so not really too much of an advantage going to be pulled out of this one as they head actually towards the mid lane. Maybe they can get some pressure on this tower. Yeah, they've got a huge wave in bot that that Subtomic has to deal with. A nice shield coming out from Exabite, but Lily isn't there. The rest of Exertus are here to clear the wave. I think it's going to be a hopeful push at best. They're not going to get anything from it. Everyone's just going to back off at this point. Yeah, they certainly are. And now a little bit of a a break in the action for both of these teams, as those tier 1 towers in the top and bottom lane have all gone down, and those were the early objectives. I would expect both teams to start to head towards this mid lane now. So put yourself in the shoes of Exertusvs right now. You've got this early lead. What do you do to keep this snowballing now?
Well, you're doing exactly what you need to do. You're just pushing waves, getting farm when you need. You have this small advantage at the start. And you've got probably the 1 weak link, I guess, in terms of laning phase, is already 2-0-3. So the one person who wanted to shut down on the side of Exertusvs is starting to get serious gold in her back pocket. And exceL, they're really trying to push down onto this mid lane turret. They're doing everything they can. They do have that Jarvan. Here comes Billy at the same time.
Yeah, they're going for it. The tower looks like it might just be going down as a shockwave lands onto 2 underneath the tower. It's not going to be enough, though. They're going to have to wait for the second wave. That shockwave could be disastrous with that on cooldown. Maybe exceL don't have what it takes to keep pushing here.
So Ped is just looking to apply pressure under tower, make them lower and more susceptible to poke, so they'll get a better chance of taking this on the next wave. I love these shields coming out of pressure by Dan going down.
Could be in a little trouble. Has to repel away from that one, and it is going to be the tower going down to exceL. Managed to pull something out. Billy gets caught up. A nice Ragnarok to pull himself to safety. And there's absolutely no answer from Exertusvs. Both the AD carry and top laner just off in those side lanes farming away. Yeah,
you need to only look at the CS difference between Blackfish and Billy to know that they are really prioritizing gold going on to their carries. So Subtomic catching up in farm to go through the years 1-0-0, 84 farm. He's just looking to get some gold in the bank. They're looking to go aggressive. Look at that picks coming out. Yeah. Ped managed to dodge all of them, and Flaxus is just building up that gold bank beneath his dainty blade. He's looking to get the much needed item threshold coming through. He's already got that brutalizer. Looks like he's heading towards that Tiamat and eventually into that Ravenous Hydra.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see what he does end up going for. With that bit of a gold lead, he has managed to acquire, I say a bit of a gold lead, 30 CS, 2 kills and 3 assists up on Billy. Let's take a look at the actual numbers. 1.4 thousand gold ahead of his lane counterpart. That is definitely not something you want to be looking at if you're in the shoes of Billy. To see if he's going to be able to pull himself back into this one. He does have a nice, tasty minion wave to be munching away at up in that top lane.
Yeah, but Flaxus can just put the pressure down now, 1 versus 1. Billy is going to have to be stuck under tower at this point. And exabyte looking like he's making a roam up, but Flaxus isn't going to fall for it. He will just back off and continue to apply pressure where he can. Billy has to be very careful with this wave too, because the moment he steps away from the turret, Flax is just going to look to put pressure down and basically force Billy out. And here's what you're seeing already.
Speaking of Billy, he could be in trouble here. The slow goes down. Flaxish is going for the kill. He pops the ultimate, and it is going to be the kill. The flash comes out from Flaxish, and he takes the 1 versus 1 onto Billy. And in the meantime, that looks to be the green light for exceL to try and pressure this mid lane, but there's nothing they can take here.
No, there's nothing left for exceL to pressure at this point in time. They've got all of those outer turrets. If you're going to pressure any more of these structures, you're making far riskier plays going in, especially without your top laner. So Billy 0-4-0, really struggling. And actually, it wasn't even Flaxus that was the key part of Billy struggling in this game, because it was the lane swap that just went really badly wrong. But Billy so far behind on experience and some really great pressure by Dan. You know, we said it right at the start. You're teleporting in here. This is going to be dangerous.
The steal comes out from Exertusvs. They are actually going to be able to secure it. Next quick, he's going to be the first one to fall. Shockwave only down into 1. Joker and the flashes, but Subtomic's able to finish it with the culling. And now Billy, he's going to be going down as well. Double kill come through for Subtomic. And it's just going to be Ped and exabyte left alive to try and defend this mid lane tower.
This is painful right now for exceL. They made one bad decision in the early game, and unfortunately there's been no way for them to get back into it. They have really struggled. Billy has just been a punching bag here for Exertusvs. And I think exceL, they needed to look at that earlier. They needed to say, okay, our top laner is level 3 to their top laner is level 5. And he's pushing the wave relentlessly into tower. Now, there are 2 reasons you'd do that. Either you're looking to get the tower early and just put pressure on with having the minion wave there near the tower, or you're going to get ganked. You wouldn't be giving the top laner free experience under tower if you weren't going to try and punish them for being under tower. And unfortunately, Billy just fell for that, and the rest of exceL just didn't do anything, I guess, to remedy that. Exabyte tried to move, but it wasn't quick enough. exceL, they look like they're going for something here. The Sivir ultimate is available.
Wiz might have overcommitted for that ward here. The distance doesn't quite connect onto anyone, but that's going to be the Winston spike going through. It's going to be Jokerism going way too aggressive, and Flaxish is going to capitalize. It's a 1-for-1 trade, but it's 80 carries for support as the Shockwave lands onto 2, and it's going to be Pet finally picking up a kill. Brixton going super ham for this one though, and he's going to be stunned up. Exabyte just does not have the damage to finish him though, as Dan flashes over to finish off that support kill. It's going to be a 3-for-2, and again, Exertusvs come out on top.
Yeah, 13-2 right now. The 6k gold lead opening up. Let's have a quick look at that again. So I want to note here, Exabyte is going straight to Wiz. Exertusvs have 0 heal, 0 block here for any of Brixton's abilities. Flaxish immediately got on him. Picking out a large amount of damage. Really great play by Ped here, but there's just nothing left. exceL have got nothing left in the tank. Both Ped and Jokerism have gone down. They have no damage. Billy didn't even have the support to make himself useful in that fight. So, and actually, I told a lie. They didn't even have the Sivir ultimate to make that happen quicker or try and snowball that fight. Maybe if exabyte had not gone so hard to Wiz and used that Unbreakable to try and block any of the Ahri damage coming through, they could have kept Jokerism alive, but it would have been a big ask because Flaxish just does so much damage right now.
Indeed, and he's looking to do that damage onto Jokerism. Look at his health bar drop. Flaxish is going absolutely massive here. He finishes off Jokerism. He's procced his heal. He's going to be keeping alive, and now he's going for the 3 versus 1. Can he finish off Nesquik here? Exabyte doing what he can. The slow goes down onto that job, and a beautiful dodge. Flaxish looking. He gets the 2v1. He gets the 3v1. Wiz came in to help at the last second, and now the 2 members come through for exceL. And Ped misses his ultimate. Ped is going to be going down. Flaxish, you absolute monster. And now Billy, he's going to be going down. The last member of exceL, he's not going to be able to escape the Spirit Rush of Ahri. Brixton takes him down. And oh my god, Flaxish.
Oh my word, Jokerism was a sitting duck here on that ult on top of him, and he blocks the heal. It's so important because it's so powerful. But you just look, exceL have got nothing left here. The Winston fight and the passive from Brown was already propped on Flaxish. There was no way they were going to get an early start. And once Nesquik had taken that amount of damage, look, that was absolutely ridiculous. But once Nesquik had taken that amount of damage, exabyte was never going to get the solo kill here. Ped sitting down, trying to get the damage to Flaxish. I mean, look at how ridiculous Flaxish's nukes are right here. This guy is a ridiculous player. He is so good. And he managed to basically 1 versus 4 the entire exceL lineup. And that is what Fiora can do, should you let her have that advantage. She's not going to get pit through picks and bans next phase. Absolutely no way.
Yeah, I would be seriously questioning exceL's draft if she does make it through those picks and bans once again. But in the meantime, while that replay was going on, we saw Nesquik come and try and defend that mid lane tower, but he ends up just going down to Brixton and Dan alone. They're comfortably able to dive a tier 2. Brixton might have been going a bit too aggressive. Ped uses his cleanse too early there, and now he could be in trouble as Dan jumps in onto him. Exabyte's going to go down as well. Disastrous news. Brixton even using that mastery emote there. This is all, I was going to say falling apart from exceL, but honestly, they've not even looked like they've been playing this game.
This is an absolute crumble here from exceL. They're going to have to go back to the drawing board. There is no way back into this game. I hate to say it when you have such a hotly anticipated close match, but this has been one-sided from the very get-go, and it is going to be the 20-minute surrender. I expected nothing less because this has just been a complete floor wipe by Exertusvs. And exceL have got some thinking to do for the next pick and ban phase because they have got a lot of work if they want to come back from something like that. Yeah. Flaxish was a monster.
He certainly was. I mean, honestly, Exertusvs took that first game against exceL in fashion. 1-0 lead now. And I mean, we've been talking about it all morning, how close we thought this matchup was going to be. I really feel like exceL just fell apart after that initial mistake.
There were 2 things that I think that were really important, and it all happened in the first 5 minutes. The lane swap, I liked the idea. You want to put pressure onto a Fiora, you want to try and shut her down because she can do exactly what she did. They get the first turret, really strong. They saw that their blue side jungle was taken, and then they thought, okay, we can't rotate easily here. We've got nothing to take on our blue side, so let's just keep pushing. But they weren't quick enough. They were never going to have the damage, especially since they had all shared XP. They were still all level 2. So you've got 4 level 2s trying to take that second inner turret, which now has the shield. And then also Exertus are now reacting, which it's not that difficult to get from your base to your inner turret. And they just then basically put themselves at a huge experience disadvantage, especially in that top lane. And the second mistake was just Billy in that top lane. Flax is pushing hard onto turret. Someone had to think that Billy was going to be a target because Flaxis would not give Billy all of that free experience. He'd at least tried to delay the waves, but he was pushing them hard. Flaxis would not give Billy all that free experience if there wasn't a plan for Billy being under that tower. So, again, I think that's also great play. You've got to take it away. Great play by Exertus. They actually managed their waves incredibly well as well. In that bot lane, they were managing those waves fantastically. And in the top lane, that wave management by Flaxis to push hard, especially build up that minion wave so that it was very difficult for Billy to back off anyway, because he knew that he had to stay, because it was so much experience just sat there. There was no other option for Billy, to be honest. He had to stay in at that tower because he needed that experience.
Yeah.
But there was just no backup from exceL.
There needed to be some kind of reaction.
And they paid for it, and it just went worse and worse from there. All of that snowball was a result of those early game mistakes and early game really nice plays by Exertus, but they do take the first game in dominating fashion.
Exertus are going to be 1 up in this first best of 3. And honestly, exceL, I feel like they need to get off to a better start in the second game to be able to put themselves on the board. Now, this is a super important game for exceL. This is kind of their opportunity to head in towards that top 4 spot, heading towards the playoffs. So we're almost at our halfway point in the season. They need to get some points on the board. We'll find out if they're going to be able to after this short break.